Starting with the opener of the prelims, Martin Buday versus Marcus Buchecha. Um, who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
This is kind of tough because Buchecha is the guy coming in from another organization, but I do think on paper Buchecha should get it done. He's lost one fight in his whole career in MMA, which is against Rudrich, or however you pronounce his name, who's a good grappler. I'll give him that. He is a big guy, although he has no technical ability on the feet. And Budai is better than him on the feet. Uh, I don't think Budai is the caliber of wrestler he is. Budai is quite a big guy, but I think if Buchecha get, you know what, fuck that. I'm gonna go Martin Budai. I'm not gonna pick these out of town motherfuckers anymore. I'm gonna go Martin Budai. I think Martin Budai is a big guy. I don't think Buchecha will be able to take him down so easy, and I don't think, it's one thing to beat people in ONE FC, but he wasn't even a champion in ONE FC. I think I'm gonna have to go. UFC home turf. They better not fucking lose because I just switched my pick mid video. But I think I'm gonna go Martin Budai. His striking looked decent in the last fight. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Martin Budai's big ass. Fuck it, beating Buchecha coming in from ONE FC. I'm gonna say decision, 29-28.
It's a tough fight because last time I tried to go for a guy that made his debut and coming up fucking lost. But I'm gonna go with Buchecha. I'm still gonna stick with my Buchecha pick. I feel like these blob heavyweights don't know how to grapple like that. And Martin Buday's grappling is not all that. It's mainly just him fucking just clinching people against the fence, putting his fat ass against them, not really doing much about it. But I'm going to go with Buchecha. I think he's going to sub Martin Buday in this one. I don't think Martin Buday is good. He got kind of schooled by Arlovsky. He was just holding him against the fence mainly. I thought Arlovsky won that fight off damage, but it is what it is. I could see Alex Prediction also doing good because we don't really know much about Buchecha, but I think you just gotta make a consideration. He is 35. He knows that he needs to get on with his career, and I think he's gonna get this done. I think he's gonna abuse him with the wrestling. I mean, with the grappling. I'm gonna go with this first or second round sub by Martin Buchecha.
Opening fight of Abu Dhabi. The UFC debut of Marcus Buchecha seems to have a very high pedigree career in grappling outside of MMA, from my understanding. I've never really watched him fight or grapple, but his credentials seem to be very legit. I've seen Martin Buday, though, in the UFC, and I do like that he trains at Tom Aspinall's gym. I do think that has helped his striking in particular, as we saw in his last fight on that short notice replacement. I can't pronounce that fighter he faced his UFC debut on short notice, his name, but he was able to show some improvement in his range management and volume in the striking in that fight, as well as being on brand with his type of smothering clinch type of game that Martin Buday possesses. He's not a small guy, 6'4", 77 reach, and for MMA grappling, I think Buday is pretty decent at what he does. He weighs on opponents, he makes them carry him in the clinch, and that wears on him. But I'm going to agree with Mike here. I'm going to go with Marcus Buchecha in the UFC debut. I think his grappling is far more advanced than Buday's brand of grappling. I think if you're Martin Buday, you kind of want to use your volume. You want to weigh on him in the clinch. But if he were to get taken down, I don't necessarily know if Buday is going to work his way back up. I think if Buchecha is able to get on top of Buday, I could see a submission. I could see him having a lot of control on top. So I'm just torn between a submission and decision. I'm just going to go Marcus Buchecha, second round submission. I'm going to follow Mike. I think his grappling is going to be too much.
Mohamed Yahya taking on Stephen Guyan. I'm gonna go with. I'll go with Muhammad Yahya. I think Steve Guyan could win, but I think they're gonna take the opportunity at hands. We're in an Arab area. Muhammad Yahya does pretty decent around that region. Um, and he's also coming off. I think it's gonna be a robbery decision, to be honest with you. I think it's gonna be a close ass decision, and I think it's. I think will look like Steve Guyan should win, but it's in Abu Dhabi. He's Owen. Muhammad Yahya is already 0-2 in the UFC, and they need to market off that Arab. They're gonna need to get that oil money somehow and promote some of their fighters. So I think Muhammad Yahya is gonna get a close decision victory where it could look like you could give it to Steven, but it's gonna be like a random like 30-27 or some shit called out.
Yeah, this is a tough fight. A fight between two bums. Is this at featherweight or lightweight? It's a featherweight. Okay. I'm 100% going with Steven Eugen by KO in the second round. Muhammad Yahya was always one of the worst fighters at lightweight. One of the biggest bums there, and he was getting ragdolled by Trevor Peak and pretty much getting smoked by everybody that came across. Now he's moving down to featherweight, where I think his chin is going to be worse. Steven Eugen's nothing special by any means, but something I do like about him, his boxing's decent and he has real knockout power. He was able to sleep AJ Cunningham on the regional scene or on the contender series, and while AJ Cunningham is pretty ass, he's got a hell of a chin, and if you can do that with one punch, I think you could do the same thing to a weight drain to Muhammad Yahya, who's already been chinned so many times in his career. And I hear what Mike's saying. If this is a close fight, I do 100% see it going Muhammad Yahya's way. They definitely would rather have a guy from the UAE than they would an American Korean. But I think Steven Eugen's actually going to get this by KO. I think it'll probably be a sloppy fight up till the KO. But I think both fighters are going to kind of slug down in the middle of the octagon. And I think Eugen's more powerful and the better boxer overall. And I think at some point he'll sleep him. I don't rate Yahya at all, and I think Eugen is the better fighter with the power. So I'm gonna go with him, second round KO, a hook, like coming off of like breaking a clinch or going in the pocket, something like that.
Now for this fight. Yeah, I hear what Mike's saying as far as wanting Ronnie Yahya to win if it's a decision based scenario, but I agree with Alex's sentiment of a knockout happening. I think Steven doesn't want to leave it to points. I don't think he want to leave it to judges and potentially, be in a questionable situation as far as a decision. So I think he's gonna take the judges out of it and try to go for a knockout. I'm gonna go second round knockout just like Alex. I think the boxing, the speed, the youth, the durability, a lot of things factor for Steven here, and I've seen Yahya get knocked out a couple times. I think he can get knocked out again.
Moving on, we got Ibo Aslan taking on Billy Elikana. I'm gonna go with Ibo Aslan. I think he's gonna destroy Billy Elikana. Like I said, I think it's gonna be in a area. He's from Turkey, I think. I don't know if Turkey's that close to Abu Dhabi or anything like that. I'm gonna sound like a retard, but I know that it's somewhat Arab or whatever. So I think that's gonna draw crowd and shit and motivation for him to get this knockout. I think he's gonna knock out Billy Elikana. Billy Elikana ain't really all that great. And it's just, I don't know. I haven't really been impressed by Billy Elikana. I'll go with second round KO or first or second, one around those range for Ibo Aslan.
Now, my underdog of the card. I'm gonna pick Billy Elikana here.
Wow.
And I'll tell you why. I actually rate his debut against Bogdan Guskov. I thought he looked pretty decent. To it quit, and that is, something. I could see this being a Ivo Aslan crashes across the cage, a TKOs in 50 seconds sort of fight. But if you're able to survive Bogdan, who's gonna try to do the same thing, but better than Ivo Aslan is, I think you can. He was able to take down Bogdan Guskov and take his back early in the first round. And I think if he does that to Ivo Aslan, we've seen recently with the Kudalaba fight, he's no good on the ground. If you get him there, you could probably do what you want. I'm not saying he's as good of a wrestler or as dominant as Kudalaba is on top, but the way he was able to slickly take down Bogdan and take his back, I rate that pretty highly. And I think Ivo Aslan, who's honestly pretty green, and I think he's getting here because of his flag more than anything. They don't have any real Turkish fighters. Ivo Aslan is the Turkish fighter. He's lost to Anton Turkalj before too, another grappler, and Anton Turkalj is pretty big, but I don't think him and Billy Alicana are too different in skill. I think Billy Alicana has showed that he's relatively slick in the grappling, and I think if he can kind of either panic shoot or find a takedown and get him down, I think he could sub him pretty quick. I think he's almost as equally to Ivo Aslan on the ground as Ivo Aslan is to him on the feet. And I'm going to take that risk since he's the underdog. Fuck it. I'm going to go Billy Alicana first round rear naked.
Respect. It's a good fight in the light heavyweight division. Billy Alicana, I want to say he was he not a short notice replacement for Bogdan Guskov?
Yeah.
Right. So, that's a tough spot to ask for somebody in their first fight in the UFC, man. Like, Bogdan's dangerous and short notice. He didn't have time to prep, so that's just a tough situation in general. As for Ivo, coming off a loss to Kutalaba, he got exposed in the grappling, it seems, in that fight. And Kutalaba was able to get a much-needed win in that spot. Oh, stop. Don't do that. Yeah, I'll just edit that out. But, it's a tough fight. I think, come on. Don't do that. All right. I think it's going to be a dangerous fight. I think it's going to be a dangerous fight either way. I think you have to agree that way. Like, it's either Billy Alicana's just going to submit and out-grapple him, or Ivo Arslan has a potential of knocking him out brutally. Because I do hear what Alex is saying with Billy Alicana's grappling. He looked good against Bogdan, but his striking didn't really wow me. And I do tend to think that Ivo Arslan is the better striker with more power, a little bit more speed, more danger in that aspect. I think this fight's really like, what happens first? Does Ivo land or does Billy Alicana get that takedown? It really feels like a coin flip in that regard. But I'm gonna go with Ivo Arslan. I'm thinking of maybe. I could see a close decision and I could see an early knockout. Because I do think Billy Alicana has the potential to get takedowns in control time and maybe even advance into dominant positions. But I also think Ivo can catch him on the feet. But I'm going to go with Aslan, mainly because I do think he is here because of his flag. There is not too many Turkish fighters in combat sports, or in MMA specifically, that are of note, really. And he has a decent record. I think they're the same age. He's got more experience to an extent. Granted, it's probably against lesser competition, but I'll take it. I'll take 14-2 over 7-2. The more I think about it, I'm starting to think it could go to a decision. That could be very close, but I'll go with a. Yeah, I'm gonna go Ivo Aslan in a close decision win, where his total strikes, his intent on damage, and willingness to move forward will have weighed more to the judges than Billy Alicana's takedowns, submission attempts, and control time. So I'm gonna go to Ivo Aslan decision and a good scrap.
Alrighty, moving on. We've got Tabitha Ricci taking on Amanda Ribas. Tough fight. I do think Amanda Ribas can get it done, but I'm gonna go. Oh, fuck, man. I'm gonna go with Tabitha Ricci. I think she's gonna get this done. I think this is going to be an underdog pick here because Amanda Ribas can get taken down pretty easily. And I know Tabitha Ricci's striking is ass, and that whole grooming Callum Walsh shit didn't go to plan with the whole striking exchange and all that. But I think her grappling is not bad. Like I think Tabitha Ricci's grappling is underrated. I feel like in women's MMA. Not saying it's like a fucking Kayla Harrison or some shit like that, but I think it's pretty good. And if Mackenzie Dern can get you down, and Mackenzie Dern's wrestling is not that great, and she mainly just goes for pulled guillotines or weird triangles out of nowhere and shit like that. That's how she normally gets people to the ground and shit. But I can see a world where Tabitha Ricci takes this to the ground, and I think she could get a decision win off of that. Um, this might shoot me in the foot here. This is a risky pick, but I'm gonna go with Tabitha Ricci by a 29-28 decision.
A tough fight. Women's MMA, you really flip a coin. But I'm going to take Amanda Ribas here. I like her striking over Tabitha Ricci's. I don't think she's improved as much as she thinks she has. Her boxing's okay, but I think Ribas' Muay Thai is better than her boxing is. And, if it gets down to it, I prefer Ribas in a scrap as well. I hear what Mike's saying with Ricci and the takedowns. I think Ribas is dangerous enough off of her back in grappling situations to kind of nullify that, or I'm at least trusting her to do so. And after that, I think she'll win it on the feet in the clinch and just landing the better strikes and more in general. But women's MMA is close, but I'm going to pick Amanda Ribas by decision, 29-28.
Tough fight. I think it's going to more often than not probably go the distance. I don't see Tabitha Ricci really hurting Amanda Ribas, and I feel like Amanda Ribas' main win condition is having to hurt and finish Ricci. I feel like she'll move around, she'll use her footwork. I'll go with Tabitha Ricci in a close decision win where she'll be able to get control time up against the fence. She'll be able to throw enough volume to stay competitive in the striking, secure some takedowns when she needs to. I think it'll be a very close type fight where arguably Ribas looks like she wins on damage, but Ricci's control time, volume, and output would have won her the fight. I'm going to go Tabitha Ricci by a close decision.
Alrighty, moving on. We got Damon Blackshear taking on Davy Grant. I was gonna go with the underdog and Davy Grant here, but I think Damon Blackshear is gonna get this done. I think he's gonna get it done by decision. He looked really good in that last fight against Alatang Ali. Not a bad fight. It was pretty good in the exchanges, but I'm gonna keep it this short and simple. I got Damon Blackshear by decision, 29-28.
Yeah, I also have to go with Damon Blackshear here. I like Davy Grant, and I hope he wins, but he's just getting old. And lately in his career, he's had trouble with some of the grapplers. I think Damon Blackshear, even though he is prone to looking ass sometimes, and I'm not opposed to a Davy Grant underdog pick, but I think Damon Blackshear is the younger guy. He mixes it up better. He can kind of mix the grappling with the striking. And I think he'll be able to take down Davy Grant and kind of minute win where he needs to. He might even get a submission. Damon Blackshear is really good on the ground, especially with the submission game. So I'm going to go with him. I'm going to say decision, 30-27, domination, Damon Blackshear.
This is a close fight, in my opinion, honestly. Davy Grant's been doubted many a time, and he's shown up. Win, lose, or draw in his last couple fights. He shows up to fight, and he throws hard. For a 38, 39-year-old bantamweight, he makes fights pretty competitive. Coming off the Tavares win, I'll admit I underestimated him in that matchup, and he's proved me wrong. But going into this fight against Damon Blackshear, I think you have to say Blackshear has a superior grappling advantage, submission threat, youth obviously in his favor. I think I'll go with Damon Blackshear by a competitive decision. I do think this fight does have similar attributes to the Cody Gibson fight, and I'm not gonna lie, if what is his name? Why am I drawing a blank right now? If Davy Grant has the start that Cody Gibson had against Damon Blackshear, I don't see him being as foolish as Cody Gibson was in terms of his game plan. Cody Gibson was willingly trying to wrestle and take down Damon Blackshear in his fight. If Davey Grant is landing in that first round, he's going to put the pressure on Damon Blackshear, and honestly, I reckon he's a better striker than Damon Blackshear. Power, even at this age, arguably punch speed and technicality. I do think in the striking, Davey Grant is better than Damon Blackshear, but I'm picking Damon Blackshear because I think he's a better grappler. He'll get takedowns and be more dangerous on the ground. So I'll go with Damon Blackshear by decision, but I am worried a little bit on the feet, I'm not going to lie.
All right, moving on. We got Muslim Salikov taking on Carlos Leal. I'm gonna go with Carlos Leal. I think he's gonna knock out Muslim Salikov in the first round. Muslim Salikov, yeah, he's been looking good against. I thought Ponzinibbio beat. Beat Muslim Salikov, and I thought, yeah, he knocked out Song Kanan, but who hasn't already? And Carlos Leal is juiced to the fucking gills, so I'm really not really gonna go all four down this one. I'm gonna save some time and go for Carlos Leal by first round KO.
Yeah, I also have to go with Carlos Leal. He's very clearly juiced to the gills. He's got knockout power. Muzzle Salikov's is old. Leal goes forward. I don't think he'll give Salikov the range he wants to land, like spinning back kicks or any of the roundhouse kicks he wants that can really do damage for him, that are his best strikes. I think Leal's pretty much just going to hawk him down, corner him in the side of the cage, and just pretty much unload combos until he goes down. Salikov might have won or made it way more competitive if he was a little bit younger, but we're dealing with an old man here, so I got to go with the guy who's juiced to the fucking gills over the old man. I'm going to go first round TKO at the end of the round. Salikov does decent with the kicks, but he corners him in the cage, like I said, and unloads with a flurry and TKOs him on the fence. Leal TKO first round.
Yeah, I think this is a clean sweep, exactly. I think we're all thinking first round knockout for good reason, man. Technicality-wise, I do think Muslim Salikov on paper is the better striker. His accolades in Kung Fu and martial arts in that regard are higher than Carlos Leal, but 10-year age gap, about the same amount of fights. I want to say Salikov's like 21-5 or something, and Leal's like 22-6. Having come from the PFL and getting robbed in his UFC debut against Renat Fakhretdinov, bouncing back with a nice knockout win over Alex Morono, I think he carries that momentum. I think he carries that viciousness. The volume output here is drastic, to say the least. Leal throws way more consistently than Salikov. Salikov really just kind of likes to set up that spinning side kick to the body, as well as just kind of staying at kicking range. I agree exactly what Mike and Alex are saying. The second Leal closes that kicking range and he just unloads a flurry, I think Salikov ain't going to be able to recover quick enough. It'll be a first round TKO for Carlos Leal.
Now, moving on, we've got Bryce Mitchell taking on Saeed Nurmagomedov. It's a very tough fight to predict. Saeed can just fucking chin him and KO him in the first or second. But I'm gonna go with Bryce. I'm gonna pick Bryce Mitchell here. I think Bryce Mitchell's gonna get it done by a unanimous decision. I think he's gonna get it done here. I think he can get Saeed to the ground. If Jonathan Martinez is able to get you down and out-clinch you, I think Bryce Mitchell can. And Bryce Mitchell's only losing to the best guys. He lost to Gene Silva, not a bad loss. He lost to Josh Emmett, not a bad loss. Lost to Ilya Topuria, who's literally in trajectory of becoming possibly one of the greatest fighters of all time. Those aren't bad losses. Saeed, he's a hit or miss. Like, he'll knock out a Mutin Gafarov. He'll knock out who's that? Kakramanov. If he can knock out he can beat a Kakramanov, sub him. He can sub like I said, a Gafarov and beat a Douglas Silva de Andrade. Like, these aren't really Bryce Mitchell calibers. I think Bryce Mitchell beats them, in my opinion. Maybe not Kakramanov, but I don't know. I think Bryce Mitchell is underrated, and people just see how stupid he is as a human being and doesn't see how decent he is as a fighter. I'm gonna go with Bryce Mitchell by decision, but I could see a Saeed KO. But I've seen him make too many mistakes for my liking.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Bryce Mitchell moving down to bantamweight. Unsure about how the weight cut's going to exactly affect him. He isn't a huge featherweight, so him moving down is a nice change of speed, I feel like, for him. But this is his first time, and usually the first time is the worst time as far as the weight cut goes. I think Saeed is dynamic on the feet, but he lacks real like disciplined striking. Everything is like spinning and shit like that. Like sometimes like he'd rather throw a spinning back fist than a jab most of the time, and a jab works more often. So that's kind of his detriment. My prediction for this fight is Bryce Mitchell is going to be winning early. He's going to be taking him down. And I think he's going to get complacent, and he's going to shoot with his head on the wrong side, and he's going to get ninja choked by Saeed. I saw that he got ninja choked by Gene Silva in his last fight. Saeed's got a mean ninja choke and front choke in general. I think he's going to catch Bryce with that at some point. I could see Bryce maybe slowing down, or maybe not having the same strength or speed or conditioning that he had at featherweight. I think at some point after out grappling Saeed for a round or two, Saeed's going to find that front choke, and he's going to put Bryce Mitchell out. I've seen there was an edit once where it showed like Colby slipping out of Leon's ninja choke and how he did the right thing to escape it, and how Bryce did the wrong thing against Gene Silva. And I think that just kind of shows a lack of IQ on Bryce's behalf. And I think if Saeed locks up a choke, he's going to get it. So I'm going to go Saeed by front choke of some kind in the second round or the third round. I'm going to say Saeed by sub late after Bryce Mitchell is dominating him on the ground and getting takedowns at will. Saeed by submission.
Fuck. Alright, I'm back. Tough fight, man. Prelim headliner of Abu Dhabi. Bryce Mitchell coming off loss to Gene Silva and now cutting down to 135. I think he recently said in an interview that he felt like 145 just isn't for him in terms of the frame of the division. He just doesn't feel like physically that's the right move for him, so he wanted to try bantamweight. And it's a tough fight, man. On the feet, obviously, you would have to give the advantage to Saeed Nurmagomedov. He's a far better technical striker and kicker, but grappling, I reckon Bryce Mitchell is better. Wrestling and jiu-jitsu, I figure. Saeed Nurmagomedov's gas tank isn't great, historically. His losses aren't terrible. Vinicius Oliveira, Jonathan Martinez, and a fighter who's 21-4, Russian, before he came to the UFC. These aren't bad losses. He's very finish reliant, in my opinion. He usually tries to be explosive early and go for like dangerous kicks, knees, and submission attempts, and that's very draining. But I'm going to go with Bryce Mitchell here, man. I think Bryce Mitchell, for the most part in his career, he only really loses to the best of the best. Ilia Topuria, who, as Mike said, I agree, has the potential to become the greatest fighter we've ever seen. Gene Silva, who, in my opinion, has a very good chance of becoming the potential new featherweight champion of the world in some years' time. And he lost to... who else he lost to? He lost to Silva, Topuria, and he just lost to... No, he just lost to Silva. He got one of the loss. Who was it? Bryce Mitchell lost to someone else. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank, but I feel like he lost to someone else. But those two losses in particular stand out. I feel like anybody loses to... Oh, Josh Emmett. There you go. Yeah, that's what it was. Josh Emmett. All these guys are dangerous. All these guys have knockout power. Saeed Nurmagomedov is dangerous. I don't think he got the power that these guys have. I don't think he got the speed that these guys have, at least with their hands in particular. Josh Emmett isn't really fast, but his hands, like that overhand, is pretty quick. Topuria's hand speed speaks for itself, and Silva is very fast. I think if Bryce Mitchell's able to that's really the fight. If Bryce Mitchell can get a takedown. If he can get a takedown or even ride up Saeed up against the fence like Jonathan Martinez was able to outmuscle him, I feel like he has a real chance at winning this fight. I've seen him, take shots from Ige and keep it moving. I've seen him scrap with Edson Barboza. These are strikers who maybe aren't as good as Saeed, but I think they're, similar in danger as far as Ige's hands and Edson's like kicks and stuff. So I think I'm going to go with a Bryce Mitchell decision win where he's able to outmuscle Saeed Nurmagomedov up against the fence even if he isn't getting takedowns. Get takedowns if he can. Stay with the total strike count and be able to just out-control Saeed Nurmagomedov basically throughout this fight. I think he's just going to be bigger than him, honestly. Having come from featherweight, I don't think it's going to be that bad of a weight cut for Bryce Mitchell. I'm very eager to see what he looks like on the scales. If he doesn't look drained, I think he can really take advantage of the physicality of Saeed Nurmagomedov. I feel like Saeed, if you take away kicking range, he's really not that dangerous if you take away kicks. And I do understand he has a wicked ninja choke, but I'm going to trust that Bryce Mitchell, having just been submitted in that fashion, he's going to patch that up in his game. So, hopefully. I'm going to go to Bryce Mitchell decision win in Abu Dhabi in the prelim headliner.
Alrighty. Moving on. We've got Nikita Krylov taking on Bogdan Guskov. This is a tough fight, but I'm going to let my nuts hang and go with the underdog pick in Bogdan Guskov. I don't like inactivity from Nikita Krylov. Yeah, he fought 2 months ago, but I don't like that short of a layoff. I think he should have I think he needed, a longer layoff because he just got knocked out, and that last fight was coming back from a 2-year layoff. I don't like that. He could get, if he gets Bogdan to the ground, obviously Bogdan's gonna have a trouble getting back up. Krylov is a very good grappler, but I think Bogdan's gonna get him out of there. I think I'm gonna go with a first or second round knockout for Bogdan.
This is a tough fight. Krylov just got knocked out, and he's making a short turnaround. But I do believe Krylov is the better fighter, and I am going to slightly lean his direction to win. I think if Billy Alicana can take your back, Krylov can sub you or do worse. I think if Krylov shows up correctly, and he has had a layoff, and he recently broke it with a fight against Reyes, which was a first-round knockout, with him getting knocked out. But I think he's back now. I think he's went through a training camp now. Even though he did get knocked out, he's kind of back in the groove. He's turning back around very quickly, even though he did get knocked out. That makes me worry less about activity, but I do still worry about his chin. I think the most dangerous part of this fight is definitely the first couple minutes in the first round against Bogdan. But I think if he gets him down, it might be curtains. I don't think Bogdan's grappling's all there. And I think if Krylov gets a good position, I think he could submit him. And that's what I'm going to pick to happen. I'm going to pick Krylov by submission, second or third round. I think after Bogdan kind of throws himself, blows his load in the first round, I think Krylov's going to eventually sub him. As the fight goes longer, I think it favors Krylov more, and I think he'll get the takedowns even easier. Yeah, I just think he just needs to survive the first couple minutes, and he's got it. I'll worry about his chin, but I know the grappling is a hole for Bogdan, so I'm going to go Krylov by submission. I'm going to say second round, or the end of the first.
Yeah, it's a tough fight in the light heavyweight division. Now we're on the main card of Abu Dhabi. Nikita Krylov coming off a first-round knockout loss at the hands of Dominic Reyes, who I think is in the midst of a title run right now, former title challenger. No shame in losing to a guy like that, but very questionable game plan from Nikita Krylov in that fight. He kind of just blitzed aimlessly with his hands down and set up a perfect, straight left from a dangerous guy like Dominic Reyes, and you just knocked him out pretty much, a point-blank period. As for Bogdan Guskov, coming off a submission win, I believe, over Billy Alicana, it's weird. He got a submission win, but his grappling didn't look good at the same time. It's a very weird situation how that fight went. But when you think of Bogdan Guskov and you watch him fight, primarily I imagine a very dangerous striker who's pretty quick early on, especially in that first round. He's very swift. He's very decisive with his movements. He goes 100 miles an hour when he really wants to throw some heat, especially with that overhand. I think he's got a really mean overhand. Guskov, 17-3. I would give him the advantage in the speed and the power and the striking. But aside from that, I think Nikita Krylov, aside from durability, like and speed and power, like I think he low key has every other advantage in this fight. I think he's a better kicker. I think he's a better wrestler. I think he's far better grappler overall. The experience speaks for itself. Bogdan Guskov has 20 pro fights. Nikita Krylov has 40. So, and they're relatively similar in age. So that speaks to how many fights Nikita's really had, not only in the UFC but just in his career in general. And initially, I was going to pick Bogdan Guskov. I was weary of the first round knockout loss of Nikita Krylov and this quick turnaround that kind of made me very questionable. And I think, early on in that first round, Guskov's going to be dangerous as hell. But the more I really think about the fight, I'm starting to lean to the Krylov side of things. I think that if he does get that takedown, I feel like he could really do some serious work on top, whether it be submission attempts or just total strikes, control time, and just neutralizing the explosiveness and dynamic bursts of Guskov. If he's able to ground him, kind of neutralize his danger in that first round, I think that power is going to fade throughout the rounds 2 and 3. There's such a grappling gap that I think I am going to lean with Nikita Krylov in this one. Hopefully he doesn't do the same thing he did against Reyes. If he fights that way, he is first round knockout imminent, inevitably going to happen if he fights like that. But I'd like to think, coming off the first round knockout loss and with the 40-plus pro fights that he's had, he's not just going to go in there and just bang in the first round and play into Guskov's game. I think he's going to try to get his takedowns, trying to play a little bit of the range game and the kicking game, take a little bit of the heat out of those punches, maybe even get in the clinch, and really just try to get this fight to the ground, I think. And if Billy Alicante was able to get in that danger, I'll agree with Alex. I think Nikita Krylov maybe can get a submission on Bogdan Guskov. So I'll go with a third round submission where in that first round Nikita Krylov it'll be sweaty, but he would have moved out of the way, maybe taken some hard overhands at his guard, just gotten out of the way of a potential knockout, be able to close the distance and get his takedowns when he needs them, and start to establish Guskov can't just be throwing haymakers aimlessly without getting taken down. He'll set that tone of the fight that he is going to shoot if you give him the opportunity. And then that'll open up some more kicks and some more strikes, like straight punches where Krylov can get more comfortable and get some breathing room. And then eventually Guskov's just going to be I got to win this round back. I'm losing right now. So he'll swing hard and he'll get right into a takedown from Krylov. And I think he's going to pass his guard. And I could see either a arm triangle or an arm bar. I think he's really going to try to work from on top in this fight. I don't think he's going to want to let Guskov just push him around and set the pace of the fight. I think Krylov's going to want to speed things up and have Guskov on the back foot and guessing whether he's going to kick him, shoot a takedown, or throw a straight punch. So I'll go with a third round submission and a scrap.
There we go. Alrighty, moving on. We've got Asu Alimbayev taking on Jose Ochoa. I'm gonna go with Alimbayev. I'm gonna go with Alimbayev by decision. Jose Ochoa could win. I liked how Jose Ochoa's looked lately. Knocked out Cody Durden the fuck out in his last fight. Taking a turnaround. I think wasn't Alimbayev supposed to fight somebody else?
Yes, he was supposed to fight Ramazan Temirov, but he had a substance situation happen.
Yeah, that's my figure. Alimbayev, yeah, he doesn't look the best, but to be honest, he only lost to Manel Cap, and I think he lost to, I don't know who else he lost to. I haven't really taken a look about that, but I'm gonna say he lost to Manel Cap. Manel Cap ain't no slouch and all that, but
it was
I know
Tagir and Lebekov. Huh? Tagir and Lebekov was one of those other losses.
That's also not too bad of a loss. I know it's not oh my gosh, he lost to it's not like a Pantoja type of loss or anything like that, but losing to Tagir and losing to Manel aren't like the worst. That's like I would like to say Tagir's not that bad. Jose Ochoa did come off a loss to Cannavina as well, but I think Alimbaev's going to get it done by decision. I think it's like I said, it's in a Muslim area. Asu's from that region, the Caucasus region of that area. I'm gonna go with Alimbaev by decision.
Jose Ochoa is good, and he looked good against Cody Durden. His takedown defense looked good, and he knocked out Cody Durden. I think Cody Durden's starting to get a bit washed. I think Asu Almabayev can compete more on the feet, and I do think he'll be able to get the takedowns or control time on the fence while he needs. And if this is a close fight, which I can imagine it being, I think they're going to favor the way of Asu Almabayev, who's Kazakhstan home field advantage. I'm going to go with him by decision. Probably pretty close with him needing to grapple to win. But I don't think he'll get done like Cody Durden. I think he'll be able to compete on the feet long enough, make it a close fight, and get the win on the judges' scorecards. So I'm going to go Almabayev, split decision.
Asu Alimbayev was supposed to fight Ramazan Tamarov, as we know, and now he's fighting Jose Ochoa. Ochoa coming off a nice finish win over Cody Durden in Atlanta. That was a good performance from Ochoa coming off his debut loss at the hands of Loner Kavanaugh. I think he's a very interesting prospect in the flyweight division. I want to say he has power, he has speed, he's a really good striker, and he seems to be very dangerous. The only real concern I have for him going into this fight is the experience advantage of Asu Alimbayev. He's had like 25 or near 25 plus pro fights, and Jose Ochoa, I want to say he's under 25 years old, and he's like only 8-1. He's only been in 9 pro fights, not even 10 pro fights. Experience is the only concern I really have for him in this fight. I think it's a very binary fight. If Asu Alimbayev doesn't get his takedowns, I think Jose Ochoa has an opportunity to have a Manel Cap-like performance against Alimbayev. To be brutally honest with you, I like Asu Alimbayev coming out of Brave FC. I always thought he was the better Kazakhstani flyweight between him and Azat Maxim. And Maxim even had arguably, in my opinion, I don't know how the scorecard had a 30-27. I thought he had a really good fight against Tagir Ulanbekov, but that's besides the point. Alimbayev, I think, really wants to get this fight to the ground. I don't really rate his striking, to be honest. I think Cody Durden is a better striker than Asu Alimbayev, if we're being brutally honest. He has a little amateur boxing record. He was looking all right in the Bruno Silva fight. Alimbayev doesn't really have power, and his output on the feet isn't great either. He really just uses striking just to close the distance to get takedowns. All things considered, I think if Alimbayev doesn't get takedowns, I think he's gonna get lit the fuck up. He got taken down by Loner Kavanaugh. That's not a great look. Cody Durden, I don't remember if he was able to get a takedown, but I want to say he did. Alimbayev is a better grappler than both these guys, but he's not terrible durability-wise. He got TKO'd, but he got styled on by Manel Cap. But yeah, he got TKO'd, and Tagir Ulanbekov, if I'm not mistaken, was able to finish him as well. I'm going Jose Ochoa. I liked Alimbayev, but his wins ain't impressive, bro. He beat CJ Vergara, okay. He beat Ode Osborne, all right. He beat Jose Johnson, like, no. The only concern I have is if Ochoa gets taken down and the experience. Outside of that, I think Ochoa is faster, powerful, bigger, way better on the feet. I think even if he gets taken down, I see a world where Ochoa lands more damage on his back than Alimbayev with submission attempts and being on top. And I cannot forget the Mateus Nicolau performance from Asu Alimbayev. That was a horrible fight. I reckon Jose Ochoa is going to be more aggressive, better striker, more dangerous than Mateus Nicolau. And if he defends the takedowns, this is an easy pick. Give me Jose Ochoa in Abu Dhabi. I think he's the better flyweight, honestly. I really do.
Not a bad underdog pick.
I think he's legit.
Moving on. We've got Shara Magomedov taking on Marc-Andre Barriault. I did a little bit of study on this fight. You know, there was some points, like some things that I saw that I could pick a Marc-Andre Barriault. But I'm gonna stick with my gut here and go with Shara. I think Shara's gonna get it done. I could see where it's like a close decision where it's like competitive, but to be honest, I'm not gonna go with this so much on this type of card. Um, I think just Shara is just a better striker than him, and I think he's gonna catch. I think he's gonna look like dog shit in the first round, and then the second round he's gonna pick up the pace and knock out Marc Andre Barrios. Um, I would pick Marc Andre Barrios, but dude's been KO'd too much for my liking. Like I would like to pick Marc Andre, but something's telling me he's gonna get slept in this fight badly, brutally in front of these Saudi people. Well, not Saudi. These Arabs, these Muslims people type shit. But I don't know. Something's telling me he's gonna get slept. I got round 2 KO for Shara Bullet. I could see a world where Shara drops him, blows his load in the first, and Marc Andre picks it up like on some Rocky Balboa shit, like how he always does, and puts him against the fence, starts fucking out grappling him and shit. But who knows? We'll see what happens. I'm gonna stick with my pick with Shara. He's only losing to MVP. Not a bad loss at all. And yeah, I'm up too much for my pick here over a Shara Bullet pick, so I'm just gonna end it off there.
Yeah, it's a tougher fight than it is on paper. Marc Andre Barrios has some good tools and advantages in this fight. He pushes a good pace. He's got some decent grappling ability. He's really good in the clinch. But I do think Shara Bullet's going to win this one, and I'm going to pick him by KO in the first round. I think this will be Shara's first round KO, if I believe. I think Mark puts on a lot of pressure, and that's a lot of the times to his advantage, but sometimes it can be to his disadvantage. And he is very chinny, and Shara's very light on his feet, and he's got awkward, good, unorthodox counter striking. And he could throw up anything. You don't really know. I think he's going to KO Marc Andre Barrios when Barrios going forwards. I think he can find the shot early. I think Barrios open, and he's going to be coming forward, which is good for a counter striker like Shara. I'm going to pick Shara by a first round punch TKO. I forgot who he KO'd by punch. I want to say it was Tricoli maybe, but I think he could land hands on a Barrios as he comes in and hit him with some big shit. Maybe it'll be an elbow or something else, but I'm gonna go Shara by first round KO. Weirdly enough.
Yeah, I think Shara Bullet has like full immunity in this fight. I could see a world where Marc Andre Barrios gets his game plan of the clinch off, and unless it's like 100-10 in the strike count, like I could still see Shara Bullet winning a decision. Like I think there's no way he's losing. Honestly, not saying like he's foolproof, but just about. I mean, I think Marc Andre Barrios really has to close the distance in this fight, push him up against the fence, and really get his game going there, similar to what he did in the Bruno Silva fight. Really, weaponize his cardio. But I just think Shara Bullet is going to be moving around, using his footwork, setting up kicks, body kicks, head kicks, side kicks, you name it. I think he'll touch and move with the jab. And I just think Marc Andre Barrios is very hittable. You know, like his defense isn't great. He's nothing special on the feet. He just kind of uses his striking to back you up against the fence, his pressure, and really get to what he wants to do and get to the clinch. So I think... like Shara is literally just going to be moving around the cage and just touching it, stick and moving Marc Andre Barrios, jabs, kicks, maybe the occasional straight punch here and there. I think I'll go with I don't mind a first round knockout, but I'll go second round knockout, where in the first round Shara Bullet is just skirting around in the cage, getting his kicks, and he'll be ahead on the strike count to Marc Andre. And Marc Andre will try to press him up against the fence, but Shara will just keep moving out of the way, setting up like little fadeaway hooks as he pivots off the opposite side of the cage, back where he's back to the center. And then he'll throw a side kick to push Marc Andre Barrios back, and he'll just kind of touch and move, and Barrios will get frustrated. He'll need to put the pedal to the metal, he'll press forward, and that's going to lead to Shara Bullet stinging him, and Barriolt's like dripping a little bit of blood from a straight punch, and he's just gonna keep trying to trudge forward, and that's just gonna lead to Charbullet just still sticking and moving, and then Barriot will actually press him up against the cage, and he'll actually get him in the clinch for like a good like minute and a half, 2 minutes of the first round, and he'll be getting his offense off. In that first round, it'll be like suspect. Like, do we rate the first 3 minutes roughly of Charbullet just poking and moving, and he got a little bit of damage, or are we gonna rate the work that Marc-Andre Barriot did in that last like minute 30 of the round? Second round comes in. Barriot doesn't really know if he won the round, so he's really gonna try to press forward. And then Charbullet is going to catch Marc-Andre Barriot with, get this, a double knee. He is going to catch Marc-Andre Barriot moving forward, and he is going to double knee him, drop him, TKO him. He's going to Masvidal him. Yeah. Second round knockout, Charbullet.
Moving on. Co-main event of the evening. Petr Yan taking on Marcus McGee. This is a good fight. I think it's going to be a very good fight. I wish it was 5 rounds, to be honest with you. But I think the first round is most definitely going to be competitive. And I think we all know where I'm getting at. I'm going to go with Petr Yan. But I think he's going to... I think he's going to look for his reads in the first round, and then the second one, I think Marcus McGee is gonna have a aggressive start, and then he's gonna fade in the middle of the second round, and then Petr's gonna pick him apart, and then the third round, I think it's just gonna be Petr Yan just beating the shit out of Marcus McGee from everywhere. I like Marcus McGee, but Petr Yan is that man, and he is not losing to Jonathan. He's not losing. He's not doing what Marcus McGee did against Jonathan Martinez. He is destroying Jonathan Martinez. I think he would TKO Jonathan Martinez, to be honest with you. He's not these people that Marcus McGee has fought, to be honest with you. He's not, like I said, he's not Jonathan Martinez. He's not Gastelum Bolaños. He's not JP Buys, who lets people fuck his wife. He's not Journey Newson. Like, he's not any of these guys, and I think if you're pulling with Marcus McGee, I think you're just either trying to be controversial, or you're just really not using your brain here. I think Petr Yan is going to make a statement here, and I think he is going to win a 29-28 decision, maybe a 29-27. I do think he will get a 10-8 in the third, where he's just beat. I think the third one's going to be a brutal round for Marcus McGee.
As to Petr Yan, that's a huge jump, kind of like Mike said. I think Petr Yan is just still one of the best bantamweights in the world, and unless your name is Merab or maybe O'Malley or Aljamain Sterling that one time, I don't think you're going to beat him. I think it takes like a really, 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 really good fighter to beat Petr Yan, and I think Marcus McGee is good, but his level of competition is far from that of Petr Yan. It's honestly even far from that of Petr Yan's competition. Like, those names don't even hold a candle to that of like Aldo, Sanhagen, O'Malley, and all the guys that Jan's fought. Jan's fought at such a higher level for much longer than McGee has. And McGee is kind of somebody who came into the sport late. You know, he is older, making his rise up the bantamweight. I want to say he's like 34, 35. And he's going to face a guy with way more experience that's younger and faster and who's got more kicks. Like, this isn't going to be a strict boxing matchup like it looks like on paper. Petr Yan has a significant kicking advantage in this fight, and he's going to use it. And with Jonathan Martinez fight just happening, we know that's a hole for Marcus McGee. I think Marcus is good, but I think he's going up against one of the best bantamweights in the world and ever in Petr Yan. I think Petr Yan is going to tune him up. I think first round will be competitive. Both kind of find both going to find each other's range. And the second round, I think Yan is just going to ramp up the volume, land a bunch of kicks, and by the third round, he's going to start really tuning up McGee. I'm going to say 29-27 for Petr Yan. drops the first round, 10-9 in the second, 10-8 in the third, 29-27 for Petr Yan in Abu Dhabi. Great fight. Potential fight of the night.
It's a good fight in the bantamweight division. I'll be honest. I like Marcus McGee more than most, but I do think this is a bit of an unwarranted matchup, if we're being brutally honest. I think Petr Yan should not be fighting down in competition. I think he should be getting someone within the top 5, for being all things honest. As for Marcus McGee, coming off a good win over Jonathan Martinez, good resume building name, and with a 10-1 record going against 18-5 former champion of the world Petr Yan. Boxing wise, Marcus McGee's good, man. He's got good power. Despite being 35 years old, he's got pretty good hand speed. He's pretty solid. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he was the main sparring partner for Sean O'Malley in his fight against Petr Yan at UFC 280. So O'Malley used this guy to spar and practice to fight Yan, who he would end up narrowly beating in a decision win. And now we're in this matchup. It being a 3-round fight, I do think exponentially helps Marcus McGee's chances of winning the fight. As we all know, Petr Yan's style is more catered to 5-rounders. He likes to use the first round to get his reads, establish what exactly the opponent wants to do, and decipher how to counter it, how to adjust to it. And he's very tactical in that regard. So this being just a 15-minute bout is very helpful for Marcus McGee. He won his last fight against Jonathan Martinez, but a part of his game did get exposed, his leg kick defense in particular. I agree with Alex's sentiment in Petr Yan having the experience that he does. I don't think he's just going to limit himself to a pure boxing match against Marcus McGee when McGee has proven to have power in his hands. I think Yan is a little bit of a jack of all trades. Outside of submission attempts in jiu-jitsu, I feel like he could do just about anything in that cage. He has good clinch. He has world-class boxing. He can kick. He has wrestling. Like, he's able to compete in a lot of areas of a fight that I think are very crucial in MMA. And his losses speak for themselves. Number 2 current pound-for-pound fighter in the world, Murad Dvalishvili, current bantamweight champion. Former bantamweight GOAT, in my opinion, Aljamain Sterling. And former bantamweight champion of the world, Sean O'Malley. There's that loss to Magomedov in ACA, but if you go watch that, you know that Yan won that fight, so I don't even really count that. And I feel like he has I think that's it. Yeah, O'Malley, Merab, Aljo, Magomed, and I think maybe one of the lost, maybe, but not really. Yeah, I think this is just a levels fight, man. I don't think Marcus McGee should have this fight, and I like him, but this is just not the right fight. I'm going to go with a 3rd round TKO. I think Marcus McGee fits the description of the type of opponent Yan finishes. Yan finishes Uriah Faber. I could be wrong, but I think he finished Douglas Da Silva de Andrade. If he didn't finish him, he hurt him very badly. And Jose Aldo. These guys are good fighters, but they're on the older side of the bantamweight division. I think Marcus McGee resides on that side of the bantamweight division. It's nothing against his skill set. I just simply think that the youth, the experience, the volume, the pace that Petr Yan is going to bring in that cage, I just think it's going to be too much for Marcus McGee. It's just too much of a jump. I think Marcus McGee will look really good in that first round, but I think after a couple leg kicks, maybe even a takedown from Yan, just to fatigue him a little bit, wear on him, take away his explosiveness, I think he'll realize, like, okay, this is not the ordinary opponent that I've been accustomed to fighting. This guy is levels better than I thought. Then in the second round, I think Yan's going to work the body as well as the legs, mix it up top, maybe even throw an occasional high kick. I see Yan really kickboxing a lot in this fight. I don't think he's just going to limit himself to hands. I think he'll mix in a takedown, maybe at the end of the first round, just to even throw that I can wrestle too. And then by the second round, he would have invested the body and the legs. And come third round, I think McGee is going to have no pop in his shot. I think he's not going to be moving as spry as he did in the first round. I think the target's going to be more hittable and less dangerous for Yan to hit. I'm calling for either a body shot or leg kick TKO. I low-key want to go with the leg kick TKO. I think the lower extremities of Marcus McGee are going to get lit the fuck up by Petr Yan. I think he's going to body shot him, leg kick him into oblivion, essentially. I think Jan's going to do enough up top to distract Marcus McGee where he can really hit where he wants to, and that's in the body and the legs. So I'll go to 3rd round TKO for Petr Yan. and a statement win.
By the way, he did finish Douglas Silva Andrade. It was a corner stoppage.
Yeah.
But moving on, we got the main event of the evening. Robert Whittaker taking on Rainier de Ridder. This is a tough fight to predict, but I'm going to go with RDR. I think he's going to get it done. I think he's going to use his grappling. I think the clinch is going to be why I will pick RDR here. I think Whittaker will look good in this fight. I think he will probably be ahead in this fight, but I think RDR is going to be a very dangerous opponent in this fight. And Robert doesn't really lose 2 in a row. I feel like in middleweight, he's more of he'll win one, then he'll lose one, then win one, then win one, then lose one. But something's telling me RDR is going to pull it off, man. I think this is going to be an end where I think that we're at the end of like the Adesanya era, as you would say, like where Adesanya was the champion, Robert Whittaker was the second best fighter on there, and I think that era is over. I think we're in a new era. Not saying that RDR is like this young up and comer. They're both quickly the same age. Rob's 34, RDR's 34. So I get like why I get it that he's not the youngest, but something's telling me RDR is gonna pull it off. I think I'm gonna go with a TKO. I don't know. Something's telling me that jaw isn't going to be the same anymore after that surgery. And normally, when you do have a brutal surgery like that, where your chin doesn't really end up being the same. And yeah, I'm gonna keep this short and simple. I've yapped for far too long. I think I'm gonna go with RDR. I'll go second or third round TKO for Rainier de Ridder. I like Rainier de Ridder, and I think he's going to be a problem. I don't think he's going to be champion, per se, but I do think he will be a problem.
Main event, good fight, tough fight, but I'm going with Robert the Reaper Whittaker here, and I will tell you why. I think Rainer's big, and he's good. He's especially good on the ground, but I'm not going to just say because Hamzat did something to Whittaker that Rainer can do it as well. Rainer is big, and he is physical, and he is a grappler like Hamzat, but I think he lacks the pure strength and explosive power of Chimaev in the first round and in general. I also think Chimaev's got a legitimate, powerful striking game with technique where Rainier de Ridder, let's be real, before he beat Bo Nickel, nobody really thought of him very highly. He submitted Kevin Holland, who's always had a bad grappling game and is small for middleweight in the first round. Good work. You're supposed to do that. And he went life and death with GM3. And GM3 was outstriking him very well. And then Rainier de Ridder lets off an awkward hook and drops him at the end of the round. So I do understand where Mike's coming from with this KO shot. But I think if GM3 can do that to you, I think Whittaker does it in spades and he dances on you. And we got to remember, before Hamzat did what he did to Whittaker, Hamzat and Whittaker was a very highly anticipated matchup because Whittaker had such good takedown defense. And I don't think that changed. I don't think he's hit a wall really in his... Well, he has hit a wall in his career, but I don't think he is just going to get steamrolled, I should say, by grapplers now every time. And I think this is a good opportunity for Whittaker to prove he's still got it in the grappling realm against somebody who's big and powerful and a grappler like Rainier de Ridder. Rainier de Ridder, I feel like, his method of victory should be in the clinch and wear down Whittaker, where he's the bigger guy. I don't think he's going to get takedowns on Whittaker very well. I think the only person who can really get that style of takedown on Whittaker and bulldoze him like that is Chimaev. You know, there's some people in other divisions that do that, but at middleweight, that's Chimaev. And DDP got him with awkward strikes. DDP is DDP, and I think DDP has always been underratedly good. But Rainer de Ritter, we've seen him outside of the UFC, we've seen him in the UFC, and I think we know where de Ritter lies. Whereas DDP, people just thought. DDP was still new when he came onto the scene. He went on his career trajectory in the UFC, won all of his fights. Everybody was doubting him, and then he gets here. He had some hiccups before, but this is different. De Ritter's 34. He's had a whole career with championship belts outside of the UFC. His loss, he took a lot of damage in. I understand that was at heavyweight against Malikan, but we have to remember this is heavyweight. He's cutting a lot of weight to come down to middleweight now. That chin is not improving. The cardio is not improving. And now he's getting into 5 rounds with Robert the Reaper Whittaker, who has footwork and can throw significant strikes for 5 whole rounds and grapple, and has been proven to do so on occasion after occasion. Whittaker wins by 5-round decision more than he wins by any other method. So I have supreme confidence that Whittaker has the cardio to do this, whereas I am not confident in de Ritter's cardio. De Ritter, I think, could potentially, if he gets on a choke, re-break the teeth, but I'm not worried about it affecting Whittaker on the feet or having a chin issue. It wasn't like a jaw break in the traditional sense. He didn't get, flatline KO'd in a shattered jaw. He broke like the mandible right below his first couple of teeth, but that's not going to affect his chin overall, I don't believe. Maybe it weakened his jaw overall, and he can knock those teeth back in or snap them back in with a rear naked choke. But I don't think he's going to find himself in that sort of position. He is not Khamzat Chimaev. I think Whittaker is still that guy, and against a guy who's a jiu-jitsu guy after all, he's going to be able to defend takedowns from a jiu-jitsu guy. And he's going to keep it on the feet, going to get into the late rounds. I could see a TKO happening for Robert Whittaker, but I think he's going to stay safe. He's going to respect how awkward and durable de Ritter can be, and it's going to go 5 rounds. I think de Ritter can maybe win the first round, but I see it as a shutout for Whittaker. I think I'm going to go 49-46 or 50-45 shutout on the feet for Robert the Reaper Whittaker. He is back, and he proves something that he can beat big grapplers.
Just light up real quick. Main event of the evening in Abu Dhabi on ABC. It's a primetime matchup in the middleweight division, man. I'm hyped. I'll be honest, I'm a bit biased, man. Rainier de Ritter, he's been my favorite athlete fighter from ONE FC. I watched him since 2020 when he was the middleweight and light heavyweight champion at ONE FC. He always just kind of caught my eye. I liked his style of MMA. I felt like I got a little bit of everything. Obviously, he's not the best striker, but for MMA standards, he's able to make it work where he's able to get where he really wants to, and that's the ground. He's got good jiu-jitsu, good transitions, good scrambling, and he's a real presence in that cage, man. At 6'4" with 77 reach, like he's a presence, like especially at middleweight. He's a big guy. Robert Whittaker, I mean, what is there to say? Former champion. Honestly, in my opinion, one of the greatest middleweights of all time, if we're being 100% honest. Like his career speaks for itself. The guys he's beaten, the guys he's lost to, the caliber he's faced in championship caliber settings. Like Robert Whittaker is a legend in the middleweight division, honestly. And now we head to this fight. Coming off the loss to the Phenom, Khamzat Chimaev, it was a first round submission, and it was off like a crank where like he was able to like mess up Whittaker's teeth. Like that just speaks to the squeeze and like how much of a phenom in the grappling Khamzat Chimaev really is. He's so dominant, especially in that first round. He's a monster, honestly. As for Rainier de Ritter, undefeated in the UFC, all with finishes. Submitted GM3 in a little bit of a scrap. Dominated Kevin Holland, made it look easy. And then he brought down the hype train of Bo Nickel, and that was a prediction that I take a lot of pride in, as me and Alex were able to get that one right at Iowa. We both called for Rainier de Ritter, and I'm very proud of that pick out of all the wins he's had in the UFC, because I'm a fan of Bo Nickel, and I felt like it was just too early of a fight for Bo Nickel. Rainier de Ritter, with a 20-2 record, he's only lost to one guy twice in 2 different weight classes. He lost to Anatoly Malkin twice, and to be honest, that's a perfect style matchup nightmare for Rainier de Ritter. Rainier de Ritter is like tall, lanky to an extent, not necessarily lanky, but rangy, and he wants to get in the grappling and get on top of you. Malkin has nukes in his hands, and he's just with a lower center of gravity. He just has a natural takedown defense, as well as being just a Russian monster, honestly. But Whittaker has the 5-round experience, has the footwork, has the technique. You know, he's able to stay on his feet and he clearly has the better movement. And he's fought arguably better competition. He's fought Israel Adesanya twice. He's fought Yoel Romero twice. He's fought Paulo Costa. He's fought Kelvin Gastelum. Like, the names speak for themselves. I watched Renier de Ridder fights back at ONE FC, and I'll admit, Robert Whittaker is better than the guys that Renier is fighting. Maybe it's the hydration system. I think that's really what it is. But a majority of the guys at middleweight that Renier is fighting, they're like equivalent, if not greater, in stature and frame than Robert Whittaker. Nothing to do with skill, but simply with physicality. And I bring up physicality because that's a big part of Renier's game, and lately that's been a bit of a weakness in Robert Whittaker's. Renier de Ridder, he's going to be the taller, bigger, longer fighter in that cage. Even if he doesn't get takedowns, just getting Robert Whittaker up against the fence where he can let go of knees and elbows, that's huge for de Ridder's game. He's going to want to wear on Whittaker. He's going to want to take away the blitz. He's going to want to take away the footwork, take away what makes Whittaker special, take away his range management, and just smother him and big brother him, essentially. I think Renier de Ridder is on a run right now, and I'm biased. He's my favorite ONE FC fighter. I'm going to pick him. I think he's got the size, the physicality, the grappling you need to impose your will on Robert Whittaker, and the main reason I say that is simply Whittaker is by far a better striker, faster, and better footwork. I really do believe Renier de Ridder can eat Robert Whittaker's best shot, no problem. I do not feel that same sentiment for Robert Whittaker. I don't like the durability, and I think the Islam Aliskerov fight was his best performance in his career. That was his first finish since 2017. So the longer the fight goes, it does favor Whittaker based on experience and the cardio, but I feel like de Ridder's, if he gets going early, it's going to wear on Robert Whittaker late. Like, the knees to the body are going to add up. The straight punches through the guard of Whittaker are going to start to add up. Like, that accumulation of damage and investment shots de Ridder did early will have drained Whittaker if it goes late. I think he can compete with Whittaker in the striking. I think he can go kick for kick. It's not going to look nearly the same. Aesthetically, it's going to be very visible that Whittaker is clearly the better striker, but I do think he's going to do enough to push Whittaker back, take away the footwork, smother him, press him up against the fence, and I'm torn right now because I really do think de Ridder can win. I think he can win a decision where he gets takedowns or just control time up against the fence. I think he can get a knockout with the knees to the clinch and elbows. And I think if he wraps himself and takes Robert Whittaker's back, I think there's a chance he could sub him too. Just off sheer face crank. Because that's a variable I think you have to take into account for Robert Whittaker. I feel like if de Ridder just gets a hold of his mouth and just starts cranking on it, like, that's going to fucking hurt. Especially after what Whittaker just sustained in the Hamzat fight. I'm torn from which method, but de Ridder seems to be a finisher in the UFC. All 3 of his wins are by finish. He's got a knockout and 2 subs. I think I'll go with a third round TKO where in the first round Robert Whittaker is going to, do his blitz. He's going to do his 1-2 head kick. I feel like he will throw the 1-2 head kick at some point in this fight. I feel like he has to. He'll just be moving around. He'll be looking good. De Ridder will be taking the shots on the guard. He'll acknowledge them. He'll be like, good shot. But he'll be slowly but surely pressuring Robert Whittaker, and Whittaker will be still landing. Like, he'll still be landing on de Ridder, but slowly but surely you'll start to realize Robert Whittaker's backing himself up against the fence. And then eventually de Ridder's going to shoot a single leg. Whittaker's going to stuff it. Then de Ridder's just going to readjust from that where he wants to be up against the fence. And he's just going to start to be plowing his knee into Robert Whittaker's ribs and stomach. He's just going to be going pretty brutal with the knees, I think. And Whittaker is just going to shrug him off. And he's going to try to get back in the center of the cage. De Ridder's going to be starting to pressure more with straight punches. throw a little jab out, maybe a little leg kick. Nothing serious. Like, he's just trying to back Whittaker up against the fence. Then in the second round, I think Whittaker is going to be a little bit more urgent. He's going to want to pump the jab more. He's going to be moving forward more. Then De Ritter's going to start to throw in a step-in knee as like a counter to Whittaker's jab. I think he's going to be willing to take a jab from Whittaker just so he can counter with a step-in knee. And then Whittaker is going to acknowledge one of those knees, and he's going to be backing up more. And then De Ritter's going to shoot again, Whittaker's going to stuff it, and we go back to this process of where De Ritter's up against the fence, has a good 50-50 position on him, and it just starts plowing knees to Whittaker. And those are going to start to look like they're taking a toll on Whittaker because he's like moving a little bit more lethargic, more sluggish. We make it out of the round, and then we head into round 3. This time, De Ritter shoots immediately. Guess what? He fucking gets it this time. He's got Whittaker on the ground. He starts getting some total strikes in, starts getting some punches. And this time, I don't think he wants to go for the sub. I think he just wants to keep teeing off until the ref pulls him off. And it gets to a point where Whittaker isn't moving, isn't defending himself, isn't advancing position, and the ref pulls it. And it's going to be a third round late TKO for Reinier de Ridder. The finish streak continues. And, in my opinion, probably the face of Dutch MMA right now, is able to make a statement win in the middleweight division and prove that he is a potential contender in this weight class. Those are our UFC Fight Night predictions. We really appreciate you guys for watching the video. Make sure to go like and subscribe. If Alex and Mike got anything to say, feel free.
Just like, comment, subscribe. Hopefully this one is a better prediction card for us. You know, last time was, I'm not gonna lie, we got fucking cooked in predictions. Yeah, last time, yeah, all underdogs and all unks won that day. Shout out to them. And yeah, hopefully we can get a come. I think this is the comeback tour for us.
Make sure to go like, subscribe. We really appreciate you guys.